Imagine this. You are standing at the very edge of existence itself. Your body, fragile yet defiant, hovers at the surface of the sun. Our star, our life giver, our destroyer. For a single nanosecond, 1/1000th of a second, you are allowed to exist here. Not vaporized, not annihilated, you survive. But what happens in that sliver of eternity? What would you see? What would you feel? What would it mean for us to even imagine such a moment? This is the story of surviving a nanosecond on the sun. A sphere of plasma 1.3 million times the volume of Earth, blazing in the cold abyss of space. It burns at more than 15 million degrees Celsius in its core. Its surface, the photosphere, glows at around 500 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt steel, vaporize rock, and shred molecules apart. Every second, the sun releases more energy than all of humanity has ever consumed in its history. It is not a place for life. It is the very definition of uninhabitable. Yet, for the sake of imagination, for the sake of science, let us suspend the rules. Let us say you could survive here, not for an hour, not for a minute, not even for a second, but just a nanosecond. 1/1000th of a second. The blink of a blink. Would it be enough to experience something? Would it even mean anything at all? A nanosecond. 1/1000th of a second. To grasp its brevity, imagine this: light travels around the Earth 7 times in a single second. In 1 nanosecond, light moves less than a foot. A hummingbird flaps its wings about 50 times per second. In 1 nanosecond, its wings wouldn't have moved at all. It is an instant so short that human perception fails. And yet, physics does not fail. In 1 nanosecond, unimaginable events unfold at the atomic scale. Now imagine placing that nanosecond against the roaring inferno of the sun, the photosphere, the sun's surface. Though not solid, it is a blazing layer of plasma boiling with convective motion. Temperatures here around 500 degrees C. The air, if we can even call it that, is a deadly soup of ionized hydrogen and helium. Above it, the chromosphere and corona stretch out, reaching millions of degrees. Beneath it, pressure builds, crushing and fusing atoms into new elements, generating light, heat, and radiation. Standing on this surface is impossible. But in our scenario, you survive. Your body holds together for 1 nanosecond. So what unfolds in this flicker of time? At the very first moment, photons, particles of light, slam into your eyes, billions of them. So intense, so blinding, that the human brain could never interpret the flood. It would be like looking into infinity itself. Your skin, in reality, would instantly vaporize. But here, it remains. And so, you feel something beyond comprehension. The weight of radiation, X-rays, gamma rays, ultraviolet radiation, rushing into you at once. Each photon carrying enough energy to strip atoms, to fracture DNA, to scramble the code of life in less than a heartbeat. You inhale, though there is nothing to breathe. The plasma surrounding you tears at your lungs, but you do not die. Not yet. In this impossible state, you witness the violence of a star unleashed around you. On Earth, fire is destructive. A candle flame burns at about 1,600 degrees C. Molten lava flows at 1,200 degrees C. The hottest man-made furnace reaches 3,000 degrees C. The sun's surface dwarfs them all. Its heat is not fire as we know it, but pure plasma, a storm of charged particles tearing through space. What happens on Earth in seconds? Metal melting, water boiling, stone cracking. On the sun, it would happen in less than a nanosecond. Atoms themselves would unravel, and yet you remain. Of course, this is impossible. Physics dictates that no material, no flesh molecule could endure this. The sun is not just hot, it is relentless radiation, pressure, and gravity all combined. But imagination allows us to step beyond the edge, to ask not what is possible, but what could be imagined if possibility itself bent for just one moment. And in this bending, in this 1 nanosecond, the human experience stretches into realms never meant for us. 1 nanosecond. For you, a moment of survival. For the sun, nothing. In 1 nanosecond, the sun continues its eternal process, fusing hydrogen into helium, generating light that will travel 150 million kilometers to Earth. The photons you meet in that instant may have been born tens of thousands of years earlier, deep in the sun's core, bouncing endlessly through dense plasma before finally escaping outward. Your survival aligns with their escape. You exist only as long as their journey ends. In that alignment lies something profound, the meeting of human fragility with stellar eternity. But this is only the beginning. What would happen if that nanosecond stretched? If you were not destroyed, if physics continued to bend in your favor? Would you see solar flares erupting into space, arcs of plasma larger than planets? Would you feel the crushing pull of gravity? dragging you down toward the sun's core, where temperatures rise to 15 million degrees. Would the human body even be able to comprehend what it was experiencing? Or would survival itself mean something beyond sensation, beyond thought? You have stood on the sun for 1 nanosecond. You have seen the unseeable. You have survived the impossible. But the question lingers. What if you could last longer? What if 1 nanosecond stretched to 1 second, 1 minute or more? Would survival reveal hidden truths about our star? Or would the star consume even the miracle of your existence? The journey does not end here. It only begins. You stood on the sun for 1 nanosecond. You survived the impossible. But now, time stretches. 1 nanosecond becomes 1 second, and in that second, you begin to witness the true power of a star. In the blink of a human eye, hundreds of millions of nanoseconds pass, each one an eternity at the atomic scale. And in this new span of time, your survival allows you to see things no human has ever seen. The sun's surface ripples beneath you, like an ocean made of fire. But this ocean is not water. It is plasma, electrified gas, particles stripped of electrons, moving with violent energy. Beneath the surface, convection currents rise and fall, transporting heat outward from the interior. It is as if the entire star breathes. Above you, towers of flame leap into the void of space. Solar flares, each larger than Earth itself. They arc outward, magnetic loops twisting, snapping, and releasing more energy in minutes than humanity produces in centuries. You, impossibly intact, are caught in this dance of light and fury. On Earth, the human eye perceives light as soft, filtered, gentle. But here, light is not gentle. It is a storm. Billions upon billions of photons strike you every instant, carrying heat, carrying force. In 1 second, you absorb more radiation than Earth receives in thousands of years. Your survival bends the laws of physics, but it does not mute the intensity. You see colors beyond the visible spectrum. Ultraviolet so fierce it feels like fire against your vision. X-rays slicing through you, gamma rays whispering of destruction at the smallest scales of matter. This is light at its most raw, its most unrestrained. Think of time as humans know it. 1 second, a heartbeat, a breath, a single step. But for the sun, 1 second is nothing. In a single second, the sun fuses more than 600 million tons of hydrogen into helium. It releases 3.8 ton joules of energy. That is more power than all the nuclear weapons on Earth could ever unleash, multiplied trillions of times. And yet this process has continued second by second for over 4.6 billion years. Your survival for 1 second is nothing to the sun, but to humanity, it is everything. But your survival has a price. Gravity begins to pull. The sun's surface gravity is 28 times stronger than Earth's. If you weigh 70 kilograms on Earth, here you would weigh nearly 2,000 kilograms. You cannot move. You are pinned. Your body is a statue against the weight of a star, and beneath you lies a descent. The sun's outer layers may appear calm compared to the inferno below, but beneath the photosphere is the convective zone, then the radiative zone, and then the core itself. If survival continues, gravity will not let you remain on the surface. You would begin to sink downward into the heart of the sun. As you fall, time stretches further. 1 second becomes 1 minute. Now the sun reveals its true nature. Pressure builds. Temperature rises. The plasma becomes denser, hotter, heavier. At a few hundred kilometers beneath the surface, heat soars beyond 1 million degrees Celsius. The pressure crushes like an invisible weight from all directions. Atoms are so tightly packed that even light struggles to escape. Photons bounce, scatter, ricochet, trapped for thousands of years before reaching the surface. And yet, you fall deeper. Minutes into this impossible journey, you cross into the radiative zone. Here, temperatures climb to millions of degrees. The plasma is so dense that convection, the boiling, rising motion of gases, ceases. Energy moves only as radiation, photon by photon, scattering endlessly, trapped in a maze of collisions. You are now inside the furnace of creation itself. This is the place where energy is bottled, contained, slowed, where a single photon can take tens of thousands, even millions of years to escape. And yet, you move in minutes. You fall while the photons crawl. Finally, you approach the core, the very heart of the sun. Here, the temperature reaches 15 million degrees Celsius. The pressure is crushing, more than 250 billion atmospheres. Atoms themselves surrender to the force. Hydrogen nuclei are smashed together, fusing into helium. In this violence, energy is born, the energy that lights our world, the energy that gives us life. And you, impossibly, miraculously, are here to see it. Humanity has always looked at the sun with reverence. Ancient civilizations worshipped it as a god. Modern science reveals it as a star, one of billions. Yet we remain utterly dependent on it. Every civilization, every plant, every creature, all life on Earth is tied to this nuclear furnace. Without it, our world is nothing but frozen rock drifting in darkness. And here you stand, in the core where it all begins. Where the story of life itself is written in fusion fire. But survival in the core is not triumph, it is torment. Your body, though impossibly intact, feels forces beyond comprehension. You are pressed from all sides. Matter itself vibrates violently, particles colliding, annihilating, reforming. You are a witness, but you are also trapped. There is no escape. The sun does not release what enters easily. It is gravity's prison. It is energy's crucible. If you could last longer still, an hour, a day, you would see cycles of fusion, tides of energy, unimaginable storms within this blazing heart. But each passing moment takes you further from what it means to be human and closer to becoming something else. Something defined not by flesh, but by fire. What does it mean to survive on the sun? It means confronting the scale of the universe itself. The fragility of life, set against the eternity of stars. The nanosecond that became a second. The second that became a minute. And the minute that led you into the heart of creation. It is a reminder of how small we are, and yet how powerful our imagination can be. To stand where no human could ever stand. To witness what no eye could ever see. The sun does not need us. It will burn for billions more years, long after humanity is gone. But for one impossible moment, we imagine survival. And in that imagination, we touched eternity. But the question remains, what if survival stretched even further? What if you could not only endure the sun, but harness it? What if humanity could one day live not beside the sun, but within its power?